all. Carpetbagger here, coming to you live from the north. More specifically, we are in Evans City, Pennsylvania. We are at the Evans City Cemetery here. And I've come out here to the Evans City Cemetery to see the spot where the modern legend of the zombie began. The Night of the Living Dead, a film made in the 1960s by George Romero here in the Pittsburgh area, really was the genesis of what we see as a zombie today. Of course, the opening scene of Night of the Living Dead filmed right here at the Evans City Cemetery, right over here in front of this grave. See, on the iconic first scene of Night of the Living Dead from the 1960s, we see Johnny and Barbara entering this cemetery to visit the grave of their father, their deceased father. They drove several hours to leave a cross on his grave. You can see this gravestone very prominently in the movie, the Blair gravestone, and it's actually this gravestone right here where they leave the cross for their father. As you can see, it's actually the grave of two people, Grace and George Cole here, where they placed the cross, complaining they had to come all the way out here to visit their father's grave. Very interesting to think about when these real graves used in the movie. These people here, probably lived a humble life here in Western Pennsylvania, did not realize that their graves would become part of such an iconic scene, and that their graves would actually be the site in which the modern zombie legend was born. This grave over here also featured in the film after the ghoul or zombie attacks. Barbara clutches this grave, and you can clearly see the name Nicholas Kramer in the film. So yeah, when you think about zombies, in fact, think about a zombie right now, and think about what all that entails. The dead rising from the graves, mindlessly seeking human beings to feast on. This concept literally began right here in Western Pennsylvania, in the Pittsburgh area. You can kind of trace all zombie films, all that zombie legend right back here to the cemetery here, because prior to the film, George Romero directed Night of the Living Dead, filmed the original scene here, the first scene filmed at this cemetery, that iconic opening scene. Before that, the term zombie did exist. It is a real term, a real word that was used. George Romero had no intention of making a zombie movie. There actually had been zombie movies before that using the idea of what a zombie is, but the idea of what a zombie is was completely different before the Night of the Living Dead films came out. Now, traditionally, a zombie linked to voodoo, a zombie being either a either a living human under a voodoo spell, forced to do things against their will, or in some cases it may be a reanimated body but under control of some form of sorcery used to do the bidding of a zombie master. But in this film, the zombies, were just simply people rising from the grave. No controller, no zombie master, just mindlessly seeking to eat. No motive beyond that. And originally, when Night of the Living Dead was created, George Romero referred to the zombies as ghouls. And actually, they do use the term ghoul in the movie. It wasn't until after the movie came out George Romero saw several people referring to the ghouls as zombies, which he had never considered that connection, and he kind of liked the term and embraced the term zombie. And actually, in the second film that he made, Dawn of the Dead, they actually do use the term zombie once in the movie, but the character that refers to them as zombies actually is earlier stated in the movie that person comes from a voodoo background, that his family were voodoo practitioners. So he had used a traditional voodoo term zombie and overlaid it onto the ghouls. So all the zombie fiction you see out there, the movies, Walking Dead, all that traces its lineage back to Western Pennsylvania, back to the Pittsburgh area, back to this very cemetery. And one interesting thing this baffles me. This actually baffles me. The original name of the film, Night of the Living Dead, was called Night of the Flesh Eaters, and it was a very, very low budget film, pretty much an independent movie created here in Pittsburgh, Night of the Flesh Eaters. And they were actually asked by a distributor to change the name. They did not want the name Night of the Flesh Eaters, so they decided to change the name to Night of the Living Dead. But when they went to re-edit the movie to change the title card, they accidentally left out the copyright notification. And by the laws of copyright, the movie was shown without that copyright notice, and therefore, and I'm not a lawyer here, but it slipped into the public domain. So George Romero ended up directing literally one of the most iconic horror movies of all time, and almost immediately it fell into the public domain, and he lost an insane amount of profit. Luckily, with the sequels that he created, he was able to make a wonderful career for himself. But just think about that, these different legends. Dracula was created by Bram Stoker. Mary Shelley created Frankenstein. But you can trace back the modern idea of what a zombie is. You can trace that back to George Romero himself in the 1960s here in the Pittsburgh area. And you can really see why this cemetery was chosen. Very quiet cemetery, very peaceful. Kind of a slight unsettling feeling. And yeah, I could just imagine if I looked over there and there was some random guy in a suit ambling towards us. The iconic line coming from the cemetery is, "They're coming for you, Barbara," as Johnny was taunting his sister. But yeah, right here, Mr. George Cole and Grace Cole. Little did they know in their humble Pennsylvania lives that they would be the creation of a total genre of monster movies. And I actually went back and watched the first two movies, Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead, just the other day. I was in the area, and you watch the movies and they are about Pennsylvania. The entire first two movies take place in Pennsylvania using real Pennsylvania landmarks. So it's really, the legend of the zombie really is intertwined in the western Pennsylvania area. One interesting thing I found is, George Romero got his start working for Mr. Rogers, another western Pennsylvania icon. Mr. Rogers and George Romero were friends. Apparently, Mr. Rogers did watch the zombie movies of his friend George Romero, and apparently enjoyed them. Kind of interesting hearing about Mr. Rogers watching zombie movies. Apparently, though, the one controversy, and this is one of the only criticisms I've ever heard of Mr. Rogers, is the actress Betty Aberlin, who played Lady Aberlin on the Mr. Rogers show. George Romero had actually wanted her to be in one of his zombie movies, and Mr. Rogers put the kibosh on it. He said that he did not want her to be in a horror movie because of her role in the children's show. I guess he thought maybe it would, I don't know, scare children, confuse children. Children probably shouldn't be watching flesh-eating zombie movies to begin with. But yeah, the interesting relationship of two Western Pennsylvania icons, Mr. Rogers and George Romero. One thing that is interesting is, you know, how popular these spots are. You can see a car stopping right there. I don't know if they're here to see the grave, but right when I pulled up, there was a man and his son taking pictures with the Night of the Living Dead grave. So really has become a pilgrimage to horror movie fans to come out here and see the original graves from the Night of the Living Dead movie. But that's not the only iconic Night of the Living Dead location here in the Western Pennsylvania area. So we're gonna go check out something else. Oh yeah, 100%. These people came to see the same grave. So yeah, two different groups have come to see the grave since I've been here. I've not seen anyone else in the cemetery besides people coming to see the grave. So yeah, truly iconic. And actually at the very beginning of the movie, Night of the Living Dead, you can see them driving their car up this windy road to the cemetery. And we have arrived here in Monroeville, Pennsylvania, here at the Monroeville Mall, the setting for the second movie in the Living Dead series. Actually, the sequel lineage is actually very confusing in the Night of the Living Dead movies. There's actually Return of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead are both sequels of Night of the Living Dead. The co-writer, he wanted to do his own movies. George Romero wanted to do his own movies, so they made an agreement they could both make sequels. The co-writer, his movies were all of the Living Dead in the title, and George Romero would be of the Dead. So Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead were the George Romero sequels, and they actually follow the continuity better of the original movie. The other Night of the Living Dead sequels are actually more of horror comedies and actually are really good as well. They're both excellent. I've seen Return of the Living Dead, it's a lot of fun. That movie actually created the part of the zombie lore where zombies actually eat brains. But for George Romero, created his second movie in his zombie storyline, the Dawn of the Dead, which takes place in the mall here and kind of really digs into that post-apocalyptic zombie feel, which, you know, post-apocalyptic zombie movies are on almost their own genre. You know, he had not only established what a zombie is, but also established the zombie post-apocalyptic scenario as well. And actually, the Dawn of the Dead movie was actually inspired by the Monroeville Mall. George Romero knew the owner of the mall. He toured the mall and he was impressed. There were secret areas, secret ways to move around the mall, and he thought this would be a great place to go in case of a huge disaster such as the fall of society. But actually he took the movie and filmed it here at the Monroeville Mall as well. So the Dawn of the Dead, kind of about some survivors hiding in a mall, the mall full of zombies, as they try to kind of solidify the mall. They make runs through the mall trying to collect supplies until they're finally invaded and have to leave. But yeah, let's go see the mall from Dawn of the Dead. Parked over here on the J.C. Penney side of the mall. Of course, if you watch the movie, it was actually the J.C. Penney store that they would sneak into and collect supplies. As you can see, it actually looks fairly different. The movie was filmed in the late 1970s, and a lot has changed since then. There's obviously been some renovations. One thing I did like about the movie Dawn of the Dead is that you get to see some of that, all those old classic 1970s mannequins, back when they tried to make mannequins look more like people. Nowadays we have these modern faceless, no character mannequins. Alright, so we exit the JCPenney here. We can go into the main mall and we can see that it is obviously a lot of renovations, none of the same stores likely, but we can see that you know, it has the same layout, the familiar layout with the 2 levels, the opening there in the center. And over here in the Monroeville Mall, where Dawn of the Dead was filmed, we have the Living Dead Museum. This is actually relocated several times. It was actually moved out of the mall, and I got to see it when it was kind of on in its own location. But I think in 2021 is when they moved back into the mall here. So they have the Living Dead Museum in the very mall which Dawn of the Dead was filmed. And I was initially about ready to be incredibly disappointed when I saw the cage covering the front of the store. But I did notice, okay, they're not, they are, looks like it appears they are open. It says they will be back at 4:15, so apparently just maybe taking a little bit of a meal break. So we will we'll circle back, and hopefully they'll be back open at 4:15. And I was a little curious if the Living Dead Mall would be a dead mall, if there would be a lot of stores here, if there'd be a lot of empty space. And it looks like a mix of the two. There is places open, but there is other places that do appear to be closed. There's a closed store right there, closed store right underneath it. Closed, I'm saying closed, not clothes store, but intercut with stores that are open. Looks like they have a boxing gym in here that's at least closed today. Oh, but look at that. There is a boxing ring in there. Unfortunately, it's closed. We can't come watch a good old boxing match here at the mall. So yeah, honestly, they do have a lot of closed down storefronts. Looking here, I don't know what this would have been. Over here, see the counter back there. I mean, watching Dawn of the Dead, actually, in addition to just being a great zombie movie, it's actually kind of a great look at what, you know, mall culture was like in the late 1970s, you know, going into the 1980s, where malls were like the center of human life. It's interesting to just watch that movie the other night and come here and kind of see how things have changed. We got what's this? Life is Pink, store that sells some pink clothing there. We got we got an eye doctor over here. So yeah, plenty of stuff still here. I would not call this a dead mall by any means. I do think it has an eerie feeling though, just thinking back to the movie and how they look down and see the zombies milling about on the 2 different levels of the mall. Kind of creepy actually being here. And you know, no zombies, but there are some people milling about. I have some miniature train rides here, although it looks like the train is not currently in operation, at least not today. Now there's a movie theater back here, and I can't help but think how cool it would be to actually watch some of the Living Dead movies back here. Wonder if they ever do like Living Dead viewings or showings or film festivals back in here. Looking here at this ticket kiosk here, has the different movies they're playing. It looks like they do play some older movies here. They're playing My Neighbor Totoro. It looks like maybe they actually play a lot of anime here for whatever reason. But look at this. We do have Dawn of the Dead is playing here. Let's see. It's actually playing it. Oh, it's actually playing tonight. at 7 o'clock. They're playing Dawn of the Dead here at the mall. That's pretty amazing. Yeah, look over here. I have the poster hanging up on the wall. I don't know if this is a special occasion that they're playing it, or maybe they just play it. Maybe they just play it all the time. I think that would be fitting. I was just talking with the staff at the movie theater, and this is just a coincidence. This isn't why I came out here, but apparently this month on the 12th, on April 12th, is actually the 45th anniversary of the premiere of Dawn of the Dead. So just happened to show up around the time of the 45th anniversary. I guess we will occupy our time and get a little exercise doing some mall walking while we're waiting for the Living Dead Museum to open. Some more mannequins. Again, I hate that our modern mannequins are so lifeless. At least these ones have hair. Got some mannequins here in these flashy dresses. This store is called New York. Look at this this table here. That is one crazy moving table. Looks like it's time to head downward. Some nicely dressed mannequins over here. Although this guy needs to tuck his shirt in. And over here, something we don't see too often in the United States anymore. And that is Toys R Us. Hidden back here in the Macy's. There is a little miniature Toys R Us section. See Jeffrey the giraffe there. It looks very different from the Jeffrey of my childhood. But yeah, I remember every kid's favorite store in the 80s, Toys R Us. We always begged our parents to take us. And now it's just reduced to a little corner here in Macy's. But actually, I think this is only recent. I mean, a few years ago, I don't think there was Toys R Us anywhere in the U.S. Arcade here called Ace's Breakaway and Play, but apparently inside they also have Zombie Laser Tag, or rather Zombieburg, I guess. That would be a fair nickname for Pittsburgh, Zombieburg, as it is the epicenter of the zombie world. Yeah, here in the back of the arcade is the Zombieburg Laser Tag. I should go back in there where you I guess battle each other in laser tag, and also sell some Zombieburg t-shirts there. Well, that's a zombie from Plants vs. Zombies there. All these fun little plushy zombies. Alright, I'm gonna take a peek back here in the laser maze. Oh wow. These would all be like, oh, okay. These are all like partitions that you would hide behind. And there is a mural of Pittsburgh there. Okay, we just got the black light turned on, so very cool. Yeah, definitely looks like a lot of fun back in here. Looks good. Oh yeah, look at that big Zombieburg mural there. See the tank. I guess the city's been overthrown. Oh yeah, you can see zombies coming in through the forest there. Yeah, a lot of fun. There's one of those famous Pittsburgh bridges. Oh yeah, look at that scary little zombie child right there on the wall. Definitely, as much as it's been remodeled, you can definitely see characteristics from the movie. General layout's the same, these pillars, you know, the iconic 2 stories. And this is fitting here, talking about Mr. Rogers earlier. A little display here dedicated to Mr. Rogers, as Pittsburgh is Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. Got iconic sweater there, iconic shoes, and some replicas there of the different puppets that appeared on the show. And there's a little trolley there. So yeah, very cool. Homage to a great man here in the Pittsburgh area. Now here's some mannequins with some character. Here is a bust of Harry Sofer, and it says here, it says Harry Sofer, 1908 to 1972. Man, his vision of foresight made all that you see here possible. So I don't know who he is. If anyone knows who Harry Sofer is, leave a comment in the comments section. Maybe he founded this mall. Maybe he invented the concept of malls. But here is his bust here honoring him at the Monroeville Mall. See a place here for children to ride these miniature vehicles. Got the Pink Panther there. And who is that? Inspector, is it Inspector Clouseau there on the front? Also got the Cat in the Hat there. This little Cat in the Hat car. Over here is a bust I may be a little more familiar with. There is a bust of George A. Romero, the director of Night of the Living Dead, as well as the Dawn of the Dead, which was filmed here at the Monroeville Mall. A band that literally defined what a zombie was, created the whole zombie legend, the whole zombie genre of film, pretty much created the modern post-apocalyptic film here. So major film history here in Pennsylvania with Mr. George Romero. Oh, I just saw the cage go up in front of the Living Dead Museum. Let's head up and check it out. Let's go learn all there is to learn about zombies. Alright, heading in. Greeted here by this zombie here. You can see all these posters here for Living Dead Weekend. Apparently that's in October here in Pennsylvania. That would be a real cool event to be able to attend. So they have different cast members from the movies. They've all signed these different posters. Here is an exhibit on the first movie here. Oh. The news broadcast from the film. And here's that first zombie that appears in the cemetery. In the cemetery we visited earlier today. This is the zombie that came ambling out. And you can see there was a black and white movie, so you couldn't, I guess he's like a black and white, it's a black and white look to him. There's actually several like unofficial colorizations of the movie. And I know one movie made them like greenish colored. And here's some actual lights that were used inside the farmhouse. The farmhouse, kind of the main setting of the first movie. These were used inside to illuminate the interior. And this is pretty cool. Screen used Sheriff McClellan ammo belt. This is the sheriff at the end that is hunting zombies, hunting down all the ghouls, and ends up accidentally killing, him and his posse end up killing the main character, thinking he was a zombie, but he was wearing this It's like ammo belt or bandolero here. That's really cool. Really cool piece of movie history there. Yeah, you see the action figure there of the sheriff. Here's the dawn of the dead room, and look what they have here. This is the helicopter zombie, the outfit and head appliance. So this is apparently not the original from the movie, but the actor that played the helicopter zombie wore this to make appearances, and it's really, I mean, it's kind of a funny part of the movie. The zombie comes out and he has just like a really weird shaped head. He has like a weird Frankenstein shaped head, and then the top of the head gets chopped off as he's like walking towards the helicopter. It just pops off. Both like a shocking and strange moment in the movie. Because at first you see him and you're like, why does his head look like that? Why does he have a big, giant, weird shaped head? And then you go, oh, it's so it could get chopped off. Yeah, they actually have a lot of cool original props here. These are all screen used props here. There's the SWAT team from the beginning of the movie where they're having the shootout in the apartment complex. And then these are the vests worn by like the motorcycle gang, the raiders that attack the mall at the end. And in the end, it's not the zombies that drive them out of the mall. It's actually the humans. The bad guys here come in. See the motorcycle boots worn there. Wow, yeah, it's really cool to have all these original props. Now this is pretty amazing. This is the original elevator used in the film. They have moved it here into this room, but this was the original elevator used in the film, and the iconic scene near the end where Steven, also known as Flyboy, emerges from the elevator. He's attacked by zombies, and then you see him emerge, and he has the blue face, the blood. It's a very, very, very striking scene when he emerges as a transformed zombie. And that's so cool that they have the actual real elevator here recreated. Some more items from the mall that were used in the film. So the ceiling lights that were in the JCPenney. There is the alarm bell from the JCPenney. Also the fire extinguisher sign. You can see the Iron City beer, and then the can of Spam. I remember the lady in the movie complaining about having to eat Spam. Yeah, here's some original props from the movie. These are like prosthetics. You can see the blood tubes, of course. The legendary Tom Savini, also from the Pittsburgh area, did the special effects on the movie and appeared as one of the mall raiders. Then over here, these are some of Tom Savini's cutout machetes. This is kind of one of his trademark special effects, where you'd cut out the machete and have it placed on someone's head like it was chopped in to their body. Says it didn't know what production these were from. I guess he had a lot of these machetes laying around. Of course, Tom Savini worked on Friday the 13th as well. Jason's trademark prop was the machete, and Tom Savini worked on that as well. I guess the technique they would use, they'd place it on someone's head and then pull it away, and then when they'd play it back, you couldn't see because of the motion blur, and it looked like it was being chopped into their head. Got a zombie head up there on top. Oh, I think this is so cool that they have preserved pieces of the mall here. Here is pieces of the original escalator that were in place in the mall when the film was shot. So these light fixtures here were originally part of the mall at the time of filming. And then a Monroeville Mall 1978 security uniform. Yeah, I remember the security guard was in the back area. They didn't realize that he was back there as a zombie. Here's a model of what the mall looked like during the filming of the movie. There's the J.C. Penney's, again, where they would go to retrieve useful items. That's actually, the J.C. Penney's still here. It's where we entered the mall at. And yeah, I remember there was a ice skating rink in the mall in the movie. Some of the stores here. Anticipation, Maternity. Yeah, I remember I caught that in the background when the female character is told that she's pregnant and is sitting there in front of Anticipation, Maternity. Some of the other shops here. Carlton's and Spencer Gifts. The zombies attacking. I don't think any, besides the JCPenney, I don't think any of the stores are still here in the mall. Oh yeah, they had this interesting clock sculpture there at the time. I wasn't sure why there was a Flashdance poster and a Zack and Miri poster, but apparently these were both filmed at the Monroeville Mall as well. Now they actually have an Evil Dead section in here. Now, Evil Dead, I guess you could technically call it a zombie movie, although I would refer to them more, they call them Deadites in the movie, and they are, you know, they're more lively than zombies. They talk, they taunt people, but looks like they have some actual props from, yeah, these are from Evil Dead 2 right here, the windows and shutters. I guess these, yeah, pieces of the cabin. Of course, I think the cabin, if I remember correctly, the cabin was in Tennessee. I think it is completely gone now. It collapsed. These must be parts that were scavenged from the cabin in Tennessee. This is Evil Dead 2, Walking Forestry. Uh-oh. You know, those trees did some terrible things in the Evil Dead movies. Here's some foam stones from the fireplace. Not a, you know, just like a facade used as a movie prop, making, you know, a foam fireplace. And this is the Evil Dead work shed. That's pretty, oh, that's pretty crazy. They have all these amazing props from Evil Dead as well as the Living Dead series. These are prop alike, so not actually props used in the movie, but you can't have an Evil Dead exhibit without a chainsaw and a boomstick. This is a series I've not seen, Mindhunter. I know it focuses on some true crime heavy hitters, but I have some props from that as well. Now I feel like I need to go back and watch that. They have this whole airline cabin set in here. I guess there would have been a scene on an airplane filmed in these seats, as well as some other various props. This is pretty amazing in here. This room is the zombie timeline here. Of course, starts 1968 with Night of the Living Dead creating the zombie movie genre. And we see some of these other movies coming out immediately afterwards, incorporating the zombie theme. This figure here is from a film called Shockwaves. Again, I'm not familiar with that. I may need to make a list of movies I need to watch after visiting here. But then we see 1978. It's 10 years after the original film, the sequel. Dawn of the Dead. There's a Dawn of the Dead zombie there from the film. This is 1979, the movie Zombie. This is an Italian movie. Then, of course, the Thriller music video. You know, that may have been my first exposure to zombies. I remember when I was a kid, one of my earliest memories, I loved Thriller. I would want to. I remember sitting in my high chair watching Thriller because I don't know, I really liked it. I later would become really scared of any sort of horror imagery, but apparently as a 3-year-old, I absolutely adored thriller. But yeah, I think that's an important part of zombie history there. Moving on to 1985, Return of the Living Dead. So this is, like I said, there's two timelines. There's two sequel timelines. This is the one not associated with George Romero, and it was more of a horror comedy, maybe more in lines with like Gremlins 2, is that it's a sequel and a parody. But yeah, this was, in this one, the zombies were caused by like toxic waste. Actually, in the very first one, in Night of the Living Dead, it was apparently radiation on a satellite that was causing the zombies. But in this one, this goo in these drums would cause people to turn into zombies. Here we have Day of the Dead. Now, I need to watch this because I've not seen Day of the Dead. I watched the first two movies. I think it was what, but 2 days ago I watched them, and they're amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and watch Day of the Dead as well. This is Bub the Zombie. And I guess in the movie they explore the aspects of maybe the zombies possibly being able to be brought back to being humans, that they still have human characteristics left in them. And I see the pop culture explosion here through the 90s and 2000s with zombie everything. Resident Evil, Scooby-Doo even got into the zombie game. Of course, something I definitely remember, the first zombie themed episode on the Simpsons, just Treehouse of Horror 3. I remember that. And then Corpse Killer, one of the worst games ever made for the Sega CD. It's a full motion video game, which yeah, you'd actually like, you would just watch a movie and kind of shoot at the screen. Full motion video was like really novel at the time, but did not necessarily make quality games. So yeah, 28 Days Later there. The Walking Dead, that's a huge milestone. Shaun of the Dead, kind of a comedy homage to the zombie movie. Zombieland, World War Z, yeah, just all the zombie properties that have exploded in the last couple decades. Oh, one of my favorites, Plants vs. Zombies. I still play that. It's an amazing game. This is the George Romero room dedicated to some of his other work. Here is his suit from The Crazies. It says that it's a 1970s horror movie about the effects of accidental release of military biological weapons that drive the people of a small town crazy. That was actually set in Evans City, Pennsylvania. That's where the cemetery was that we were at this morning. And that was filmed in Evans City as well. And it says, well, it's not a zombie movie, but it actually added some elements that would later become hallmarks of the zombie movie. Kind of the, the infection, the military getting involved. So even when he's not making zombie movies, he's still making zombie movies. Oh, this looks interesting. George A. Romero's Night Riders. Here is the screen-used futuristic knight helmet and armor, and a shield there. It's a knight riding a motorcycle. That looks pretty fun. And it talks about Creep Show here. I actually really like Creep Show and the sequels and the film spun off of Creep Show. Yeah, all the posters there. I'm a sucker for horror anthology movies. There is the dad from Father's Day as he crawls out of his grave. He was demanding a Father's Day cake, and then up here there is a replica of the Father's Day cake made out of a head. Now, this guy looks really familiar. What is he? I'm sure if someone said, I would know exactly where he's from, but if you know where this creature's from, leave a comment in the comment section. Different props here. Here is an outfit from Diary of the Dead. Here is a zombie mask from Day of the Dead. You can actually see they have the particular zombie circled there. And yeah, I imagine like they would probably use more makeup and prosthetics for zombies that are shown close up. But if, you know, you're in a crowd, you can just slap a mask on. There's the farmhouse from Night of the Living Dead. And there's a replica of the clock that used to be here in the mall. This door here actually used in the filming of The Crazies. I may need to check out The Crazies. And here is George Romero's filmography. And yeah, started out with making short films in the 1950s. Got his big break working on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And you can see he actually made Night of the Living Dead while working with Mr. Rogers. So that's pretty fun when you think about it. The ultimate odd couple, George Romero and Mr. Rogers. You can see very long filmography here, all the way up to 2009, Survival of the Dead. So kept making the Dead movies all through his career. And in this room, have some costumes here, some screen-used costumes from Land of the Dead. Yeah, continued, almost made like a different zombie movie for almost every like decade or generation. This was, I guess, one of his last films. And at the end of the hallway here, we have the Mall of Fame. Not the Hall of Fame, but the Mall of Fame. And not mall, M-A-L-L, like we're currently in, but M-A-U-L, as in to like mutilate or destroy something. And these are the handprints. All these handprints are people that worked on the Dead series. Everyone that placed a hand on here had some sort of role, acting, writing, producing in the movies. Autographed here and left there. Handprint. Yeah, you can see as we exit through the gift shop, all sorts of fun zombie related items. Buy a variety of different masks from different zombie movies. Yeah, there's Night of the Living Dead trading cards, different characters from the first movie. And then you can actually buy pieces of the Wampum Underground where Day of the Dead was filmed. Yeah, some very fun shirts here. I like this one, the Monroeville Mall Directory. Actually has a map of the mall. But you see the blue dots are zombies. The red dots are bikers slash raiders. And if you were standing here, apparently you are in a bad position. There's the Pittsburgh Mall Walkers Association. And look, they're all zombies. All sorts of different zombie literature here. Oh, look at this. This is kind of random, but Weird Las Vegas and Nevada. These Weird US books. Literally part of the thing that inspired me to create this YouTube channel. Love these books. I guess these are some button-up zombie shirts here. It's got the Tarman from Return of the Living Dead. Again, Return of the Living Dead doesn't follow the same continuity, but it is a really entertaining movie. Oh, look at this, the same plushy skulls they had at the Carnegie Science Center. It's funny when something can be sold at the Science Museum and the Zombie Museum. Look at that little zombie there. See, I've seen these before. These are like different viruses. They sell these at health museums. But look at that, we actually have the zombie virus there. And he looks like a little zombie. Yeah, very fittingly, Pittsburgh is the zombie capital of the world. So I really love that museum. There's really a lot of love put into it. The displays, the actual artifacts from the movie, and I absolutely love that it is here at the Monroeville Mall, at the actual filming location. So you can not only have that museum experience, but you can just take a look for yourself, walk around the mall and see where the movie was made. So a great day here in the greater Pittsburgh area, the zombie capital of the world, which I absolutely agree with. The movie zombie capital of the world, you know, and there's other parts Maybe New Orleans has its own zombie distinction as well, where they have, you know, the real life zombies. But nonetheless, it was great seeing these classic movie locations, this amazing zombie museum here. If you guys like this video, please subscribe. I travel around the country, I film roadside attractions, amusement parks, museums, haunted houses, and other fun, random stuff. If you subscribe, it helps me out a lot. Also, thumbs up help, comments help, everything helps. But if you want to help in other ways, consider contributing to Patreon. $3 or more will get you a postcard once a month from me to you. Also selling enamel pins in the Etsy shop and doing personalized messages on Cameo. If you'd like to receive a message from me to send to a friend or family member, or just for funsies to yourself, whatever you'd like, all the information for that is in the description of this video. And all those things could help keep this train on the track, this boat in the water, and this dirigible in the air. Until next time, my friends, this one's in the bag.